When I sat down to write this sermon, all I could think of was flowers. Buttercups, to be precise. And in fact, all I could think about were the buttercups in the garden right back there. Have you noticed them? Maybe not yet. I invite you to go out and take a good look at them. On a sunny day, they are brilliant, glowing, spots of yellow, stunning. Last Wednesday, Maggie beckoned me outside to see them. There was a work party going that morning. Several of you in this room were there to pull weeds and tidy up the native plant garden, among other tasks. As folks worked and visited, my eyes took up the sweep of the garden, the ceanothus on the side covered in purple blossoms and bees, the many leafy plants out there just waiting their time to bloom, and the stone path that our children love to take to the playground, and the grass out in the back field there that's so green right now. I found myself just delighted and grateful for all this beauty. At noon that day, after 10 of us prepared our potluck offerings in the kitchen, we tucked in to the tables around back on the back patio there for good food and good conversation. And again, delight and gratitude rose up in me. That afternoon, as some of us fussed once again over the placement of chairs in the sanctuary, the one thought that kept coming to mind was what a beautiful, nurturing space this religious community has built and maintained by the work of so many. What an amazing gift for each other and the world. Think of all the people who make this possible. Those who were involved in some way with buying the property, raising the money for it, tending the yard, building the patio, remodeling the kitchen, furnishing the sanctuary, helping to maintain and improve it all. Not to mention all those who have led and participated in worship services and spiritual or educational development and social activities, all the life of the church, the congregation. So many people have been involved. And then think of the people who founded this congregation 41 years ago, and the countless souls who carried the flame of Unitarianism and Universalism for hundreds of years. Those who were committed to spreading the message of universal love, intellectual and spiritual freedom, and working for the world we want to see. We ride on their shoulders. Again, what an amazing gift. These religious ancestors of ours knew what Parker Palmer meant when he said that abundance is created in community, and in fact, community is abundance. Palmer writes, "Authentic abundance is not found in secured stockpiles of food or cash or influence or affection, but in belonging to a community where we can give those goods to others who need them and receive them from others when we are in need." Another stockpiled resource of this community in particular, is hope. You may recall that a couple of weeks ago I mentioned Aurora Levins Morales and her idea that hope is something we hold in common cause. She says we can borrow hope from the commons, yet we must tend that hope carefully so that we can return it to the community, return hope to the community. Just as we are caretakers of this building and church finances and that beautiful garden, we are caretakers of hope. as we offer care to each other and come together regularly for spiritual sustenance, and as we participate in the life of this congregation, we nurture the hope that sustains us. Psychologists define hope as the belief that we can find pathways to desired goals and the motivation to use those pathways. Hope involves developing clear goals, the ability to envision ways to get there, and a belief that we have the capacity to act and persist. Contrary to optimism, which is a general expectation that things will work out, hope merges agency and willpower with practical ways to move toward our goals. The website Mindful Spark suggests some ways of increasing one's capacity for hope in the face of challenge. At least this is what I got from the article that I read. When circumstances have us feeling defeated, deflated, or powerless, consider alternatives that are grounded in reality. What actions are available to me now, even in this situation? What little things might I be able to do in response? Engage in hopeful meaning-making by looking for the lessons and opportunities in the situation. What can I learn from this? And what might be opening up even as that door closes? We can recognize that the path to achieving any goal involves a series of steps. If we break down larger steps into more manageable bits, then the path may be a little less daunting. We might be able to take action. And just accomplish one small thing. Try to do one small thing, because the good feelings associated with completing it often set us up to take on bigger or more difficult tasks. And then really celebrate the small victories. Celebrate the little things that we do, and don't discount them as little. So how do these ideas apply to cultivating communal hope? The kind of hope that allows us to address huge and seemingly impossible goals for the sake of the world, to bring about a life-sustaining society, as Joanna Macy would say. I believe that if we supply, or if we I believe these ideas do if we apply them together, that is, together, or support each other in using them. In fact, that Mindful Spark website cites research that social support or group synergy fosters collective hope. So here at NVUU, we are definitely on the right track. I was thinking together we can discuss and select our goals together. Big goals like creating the beloved community, and smaller ones like fostering justice and equity in our community. And we can hold that vision together. That's what we do each Sunday morning, and in the many small groups and gatherings that happen here. We can brainstorm possible pathways or actions that we can take collectively and individually. And we can select feasible actions that match our personal and collective resources of time, finances, energy, preparedness. We can support each other and even agree to be accountable to one another. For example, my goal this week is to use the 5 Calls website to actually make calls to my representatives, which I have not done yet. So now that I've told you, I feel more of an impetus to actually do it and then report back that I've done it, right? So that's what I mean. All of these practices build our reserves of hope. Now, these are perilous times. The goals I can imagine, like restoring democracy in the United States and protecting the rights of marginalized people, are huge. And I guarantee that at one point or another, each of us will feel despair as we sit here at the brink. We will be overcome with dread or anger or frustration or sorrow. And at these times, too, we need to be able to gather and to tap into the shared hope of this community, to draw on our reserves. At these times, we need to give ourselves permission to tend to our own mental and spiritual well-being in whatever ways work for us. I think of communing with nature, meditating, baking, getting some exercise, calling a friend, calling your minister, continuing to keep moving forward until you can notice the joy and beauty in your life. We need to be real with what's going on with us. And I'm going to bet that some of you judge yourself for taking time out. But it's one of the most important things we can do for everyone. There's a reason the airlines say to put on your own oxygen mask first before helping someone else. It is only when we tend to our own capacity for joy and hope that we have the ability to put something back into the commons. So when we are able to actually take action, let's promise not to judge ourselves, not to be judgmental about what it is that we do. No action is too small. No action is too small, and none is insignificant. All are valuable for the collective. Another way we can support our shared hope is through financial giving. You knew I would mention this eventually because this is Stewardship Sunday, right? This is the beginning of the annual pledge drive. I encourage you to give to the extent you can to this hope-sustaining institution. Now, you've probably heard about the 5% tithe, that 5 to 10% tithe that many UUs aim for. And this works for some, but not for all. There are so many circumstances that we find ourselves in that we have to factor in. There are lots of different ways of deciding how to give, and the important thing is that you think about it, that you consider what will work for you and what will support this congregation and its mission. Last spring, when the board and I made the announcement, rather, that I would be staying at NVUU as the minister for the foreseeable future, I made the decision to begin pledging to this congregation. I had been pledging, actually, to my home congregation, the one that I kind of came to Unitarian Universalism in. And I realized it was time to end that relationship and to start investing financially in this one. I set a goal of giving 5% of my compensation to UU causes, divided among NVUU, the Church of the Larger Fellowship, of which I am a member, and Star King School for the Ministry. In January, you increased my hours, and my compensation increased accordingly. And so I am now donating $200 a month to NVUU, which is about 4% of my salary. Why do I pledge my financial support to this congregation? Because I believe you have something unique and necessary to offer in today's world. Because I share the hope held in common here. Because I love you and this place. And I want you to be a beacon of hope in this beautiful and broken world for many decades and generations to come. Friends, as I thought of the garden this week, I imagined sinking my toes into the soil. Good, nourishing soil that you and so many others have prepared. Strong medicine that we use to heal each other, even as we care for ourselves. I imagine joining the roots of this garden that reach out in a network of roots and healthy communities of bacteria and fungus and all the things down there in that gorgeous soil that encompass our planet and connect our planet. I absolutely believe that what we do here, the way we tend to hope and put our love to work in our little garden patch, our small community, has impacts far beyond what we can see. I believe that we are changing the world. Community is abundance, says Parker Palmer. If we could learn that equation from the world of nature, the human world might be transformed. Let us learn this equation together. Let us recognize the abundance we have in this community and practice opening our doors to share that wealth. Let us tend to our capacity for hope as individuals and a community, that we may always be an oasis of hope in a hurting world. And let each of us draw on our communal hope when we need it, without shame or apology, in faith that, with a bit of tending and care, we will be able to help replenish the shared supply. May it be so.